Doug Ford talks more about reopening schools. Churches are preparing to take new congregations this weekend. And Briar Summers returns with Muskoka on stage. All that and more coming up right now. Welcome to Cogeco News for June the 17th. I'm James Bowler with what's happening in your community. And a quick local update on the COVID-19 situation. For the first time in a few weeks, we've had no reports of COVID-19 in either Simcoe or Muskoka. Now, this comes just a day after a Huntsville man in his 60s was reported as the most recent infected by COVID-19. How he came across the virus in the first place is still being investigated. Meanwhile, Doug Ford is talking new school openings in September.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Sick Children Hospital. They're an incredible hospital, and I know we've been consulting with them. We're going to continue to consult with them and other stakeholders, and we just appreciate it. So thank you. I know Minister Lecce will be rolling out a plan over the next little while to make sure our kids are safe. I will not risk, and I've said it right from day one, I'm not going to risk anything that puts our kids in jeopardy. I'm just not going to do it. And now for the teachers, we're going to make sure we sit down with the unions and discuss a strategy to make sure they feel safe, because they're so important to our children. They're so important to the education system. And I want to thank all the teachers out there. They've done an incredible job through this pandemic with the online courses and getting on there and teaching our kids as we went through this pandemic. But we'll have that discussion with the unions, and I want to thank them, and we'll never do anything to put our children at risk.
And of course, we will have more details on how the schools are reopening in September when that information becomes available. And we've talked a bit over the last few days about municipal reopenings, but hospitals are also being allowed to take in certain elective surgeries. We talked recently to NATALIE BUBELA about that.
Hospitals in Ontario about mid-March paused their elective and non-urgent surgeries and procedures in order to make sure that we had adequate personal protective equipment, staff, bed capacity, etc. available in case there was a surge in COVID activity, as we were anticipating back in March. Last week, the government allowed us to proceed with a measured, staggered approach to resuming surgical procedures and other procedures in the hospital. So we're starting with surgery right now. But I should say that over the first 12 weeks of the pandemic, we did do emergent and urgent surgeries here at the hospital, and we did about 260 procedures over that period of time. So our measured approach is to start with about 60% of the capacity that we were doing pre-COVID, and we're going to test that out for a period of time to make sure that all our processes are safe. We're keeping physical distancing, we're having adequate PPE. There's a number of criteria that the ministry is requiring in order for hospitals to proceed, and that is an adequate supply of personal protective equipment, medications that are used for surgery like propofol, those types of things. So we do have to report on that on a weekly basis. Well, I think they've just been fabulous. They've been extraordinary. I mean, every one of them, not just our doctors and our nurses, but all hospital staff, are heroes, in my opinion. A lot of fear, particularly at the beginning, a lot of planning that needed to take place, and the entire team has come together. I'm exceptionally proud of them. I mean, specifically related to surgery, we're at about a 60% operating volume right now, and we're hoping that by the end of July, if everything goes well, that we should be back up to about 100%.
Great.
Now, we do have anywhere between 1,500 to 2,000 procedures that need to be scheduled that we weren't able to get to during the pandemic that's occurred up to now. So we have not resumed other services as yet. We're still planning that. So I think it's going to take some time to be able to do this in a measured way to ensure that we are complying with all the criteria that need to be out there to keep people safe, like physical distancing. And of course, available PPE. I don't believe we'll ever get back to what the normal was like before. It's going to be a new normal, and I think the public should be prepared for things to be looking quite different when they come into the hospital. I would think as long as the virus is out there and there isn't a solution to that, we will continue to do what we think is safe, and that would include wearing masks, the physical distancing, washing your hands frequently, and staying home if you're unwell.
Now, of course, with the local economy slowly reopening, more jobs are becoming available. We've got some details coming up next on how you can find out how to get one of those jobs. And now joining me in the studio from the YMCA is SALEEM Hall. SALEEM, thanks very much for taking the time today.
Thanks for having us back, James.
I really appreciate
Yeah.
you always coming in and chatting about the great business opportunities and job opportunities in the area. And we're going to talk about that. So the Muskoka Virtual Job Fair coming up.
Muskoka Virtual Job Fair just around the corner, Monday, June 22nd at 1:30. You know, the YMCA, along with other community partners, including the Muskoka Lakes Chamber of Commerce, the Workforce Development, the district, the other employment agencies, Angelic Employment North, and of course us at the YMCA have recognized that, you know, we do a job fair every year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost part of routine. It's almost part of our lexicon to have that in our daily lives. And so we have taken the plunge and we are going virtual. We are offering up a job fair to our community that's going to showcase a whole bunch of employers from various sectors looking for, really trying to move the bar and getting people to recognize that employers are looking for staff members, like immediately.
So SALEEM, you know, people are used to going into a center like the Active Living Center or wherever, and going through, seeing the employers.
Yeah.
A little bit different this time. So can you kind of walk me through what the experience will be like for someone looking for a job?
For sure. So it's, you know, first of all, it's the Muskoka Virtual Job Fair at Eventbrite. So you go onto the Eventbrite page, or easier than that, just go on, you know, the YMCA's Huntsville's Facebook page, and we have a link there. Mm-hmm. But it's you register online, and you get a link, and it's basically a countdown to the number of days that you're going to be exposed to this really, really wonderful roster of different employers. And the virtual job fair, for anyone who hasn't really experienced it, and, you know, to be honest with you, this is, you know, our first time collaborating in such an event, but our sense is it's going to give the same amount of information, the same amount of knowledge, and the same opportunities for people in a safe environment. So we are offering employers an opportunity to showcase not just the jobs that they have available, but a little bit about their organization, right? Which goes a long way than just seeing a job posting and applying for it. They'll talk a little bit about their organization. They'll talk about the jobs available. There even is going to be a question and answer period. And so we're using two different platforms. We're using, Facebook Live, it's going to be streaming. But we're also looking at using Zoom as a platform to have a little bit more of a layer of interactivity. So you can ask employers questions, they can give you their feedback. So for all intents and purposes, it's like a job fair face-to-face, but from the comfort of your own home and the safety of your home. 'Cause
Yeah, it sounds a little more beneficial than something like Indeed, LinkedIn, or Charity Village. But so they're going to have an opportunity over a few days to check this out? Just
so
a one day?
It's a one-day event. We're going to see how this goes. This is, again, our first attempt at providing this to our community. We know that there is value out there. It's happening on Monday. It starts at 1:30, and we're showcasing employers from the construction sector, the cleaning sector, the retail sector, the opening hospitality sectors. We're going to have hotels and resorts and whatnot. So we're going to be showcasing a lot of different types of employers and giving them all an individual platform to showcase and talk about their employment opportunities. Because again, as we talked last week or the week before, now more than ever, we need to rally up and support our local economy. That means if you're looking for work or know someone that's looking for work or want to talk about, getting into employment, this is the best and safest way to do it. And, our economy and our local employers really need people right now to kind of register and go online and see at the very least, what the type of jobs are out there.
All right. So Monday at 1:30, hit me with that website again.
Okay, it is Muskoka Virtual Job Fair.eventbrite. It is a mouthful,
Yep.
But if you want to go to the YMCA's Facebook page, YMCA Huntsville Employment, you can find it there, or just type in Muskoka Virtual Job Fair and you'll get it. But yeah, it's coming Monday.
We'll put up a link probably right about now. You'll see a link on the bottom of your page, and we'll have that as well. So, SALEEM, thanks very much for taking the time for coming in today.
Appreciate it. Let's keep in touch.
Yep. All right. We are going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back. And speaking of being welcome back, a bit of cheesy opening, but churches are welcoming back many of you from the community as they start to reopen their doors. However, there are strict guidelines in place with only 30% allowed inside.
And the wind ceased, and there was a dead calm. And he said to them, "Why are you afraid? Have you still no faith?"
Got the news that we were able to open up to 30% capacity. And there wasn't a lot of guidance with that we learned like everybody else does on the news. We don't learn from anybody else. And then eventually what happened was we, through municipalities, were asked to then reach out to their congregations, make sure everybody knew. And then we got a letter from the local health unit, which basically gave some parameters and safe best practices and safe precautions to take. And it does create some problems for us because we're known as a very welcoming, friendly church. We stop our service at the beginning. Everybody gets up and wanders around and greets everybody. We have coffee afterwards. Everybody goes downstairs. We can't greet. We can't have coffee. Those were protocols that were advised by the health unit. Can't shake hands. Can't hug. Can't kiss. So we can't, all the normal things we would do as a community we can do. We can wave from a distance, basically. So we've got a bit of a protocol in hand. I think what we're going to do is we're going to have everybody come in through the back door. We're going to have the pews taped off at 6-foot intervals. Obviously, couples and families who are already living together will sit together. And we'll start at the front and we'll move to the back on both sides. When that's done, we'll move anybody else to the balcony. And once that fills up, we'll move people up here. We'll have people come in the center aisle, exit down the sides. And people will just have to logically try to keep their space. And the other thing which is going to be really discouraging is because we have an excellent music program, we're not supposed to sing. They're discouraging singing. So we haven't figured that one out yet.
Well, and what do you do if all of a sudden you got a full house?
I'd hate to be in the position where we were turning people away. And frankly, I don't know how many people are going to come. Right? There are lots of people who want to come, but I'm not sure if anybody's feeling fragile or they have health issues at all. I mean, I would encourage them not to come because it's still early stages in. I'm assuming people who are healthy and able-bodied, they're going to want to come. So I'm looking for some personal feedback for a while now. So.
Meanwhile, Faith Baptist Church in Huntsville is also preparing to reopen to its congregation with a few technical additions to help keep everyone following provincial rules.
Once they sign up, they're in there, they let us know who's coming with their families, and then they're going to arrive here. They're going to park, and we're going to have a greeting team out in the front park area with tablets to be able to register them. Okay. If by some reason they did not register, then we have a space for them to come inside and register them. And we've given ourselves a little bit of a capacity, so people who, whether they didn't register or they didn't know to register, we gave ourselves a little bit of a buffer. Okay. And so they come in, and our volunteer greeting team is there and with hand sanitizer to offer if they'd like, and then they're going to come in and be seated by one of our ushers, and the auditorium is going to be set up with specific seating of chairs grouped together in groups of 2s, 3s, 4s, 6s, and so that way it accommodates families of different sizes, and we'll fill it from the front to the back, and then that way when we're finished, then we'll release just like you would with a wedding, from the back to the front. Great. And allow that. So we're going to have a dedicated entrance and a dedicated exit. It's connected with them on any level. I think as we see with social media, people's connections with each other are more superficial. And so being able to get down to the nitty gritty and live life together and come alongside somebody, I think is really difficult. And I think during this time, it's certainly shown that, and I think one thing that people are starting to realize is their need for a physical face-to-face connection with somebody, and that's something that we've been trying to push for and advocate and also reach out to not just our own people, but the people within the community, and just saying, hey, we're here to love you. If you need anything, reach out to us. We're reaching out to you. And I think that's such an important thing as far as humans. I mean, God made us this way in His image, and He made us to be able to be in community with each other. And that's in a face-to-face conversation and in a community.
Well, we've had a lot of discussions about businesses reopening, but what about local services that can't reopen? We've got some details on that coming up next. Welcome back. Well, many businesses are starting to reopen, as we mentioned before, but unfortunately that isn't the case for Bracebridge Legion. Samantha Johnson has more on that.
COVID-19 has affected many things, such as large gatherings and social events. And for Bracebridge Legion, they say they've been hit really hard.
We had to completely close, so we have no income whatsoever. We rely on our bar sales, our pool league, dart league, Saturday meat draws, Sunday breakfast, dances, weddings, anything that's going, and it's a lot of money comes in through the bar sales. So,
and because they are limited to 10 people at a time, they're unable to do some of their regular programs due to small quarters.
If we had a nice big wide open kitchen where a lot of people could work in there and still keep the social distancing, that would work. But ours is a small kitchen, so you're sort of stepping on everybody every time you turn around.
And not only have they had to stop their programming, they're unable to give back to the community as well, and are now seeking financial help to keep operational.
We had made the decision to turn off our gas. We shut our water off once it was warm enough that we didn't need to heat our water for our heating system. And so we'd like to send Wednesday lunches out to shut-ins, veterans and other shut-ins. But to have a crew come in to do that, turn on the gas, turn on the water and everything, and then have a person that would be willing to go around still to different houses. So it just made it difficult for everybody. And without any income at all, this is why then we'd made the decision to turn to the GoFundMe page, and hopefully people will realize what the Legion does mean in a community. I mean, we have the Poppy campaign at the end of October and November, and we don't even know at this point whether we'll be able to do that.
So make sure to check out their GoFundMe page and look under branch 161 for the Bracebridge Legion, or call them 645-8500 or visit them on Facebook. In Bracebridge, I'm Samantha Johnson for Cogeco News.
And please do show your support. This is a very vital service in our community, not just Bracebridge, but Huntsville and Gravenhurst as well. We are going to take our last break, but when we come back, Briar Summers returns with Muskoka on stage.
I'm back to put a spring in your step with some great local and awesome musical offerings online.
You guessed it! Hunters Bay Radio and Lake of Bays Brewery's Quarantunes is back once again with 2 new offerings of musical musings. This Thursday, Muskoka cellist Megan Ballantyne brings her haunting tunes to your home through Facebook at 7 p.m. And if you're looking for more, why not tune in on Saturday at 7 to catch a performance from Clayton Earl, strumming sweet music for your ears. Find all the details on both these shows on the Hunters Bay Radio Facebook page. And just a quick tease to prepare you for next week, yours truly will be appearing Thursday night for the next round of Quarantunes, so stay tuned for that show on June 25th. Continue to show your support for the Orillia Soldiers Memorial Hospital this Thursday with the continuing Essential Concert Series, this week featuring a very highly regarded songwriter and blues musician, Stephen Henry. He is sure to entertain, bringing with him his love for bands like Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin. Tune in at 8 p.m. and find all the details on the Essential Concert Series Facebook page. Make sure to check out Huntsville's own Hawksley Workman and his second episode of Hawksley Night in Canada. Don't miss this interactive live session featuring his unique songwriting and musicality, intriguing storytelling, and wacky sense of humor. The show takes place this Thursday at 8 p.m. Tickets can be purchased at www.hawksleyworkman.com. Peters Players presents the first of their drive-in concerts. This Saturday at 3 p.m., catch Juno Award-winning blues songwriter, singer, and harmonica player Paul Reddick, joined by fellow Juno winner and member of Monkey Junk, Steve Mariner, and Kyle Ferguson, the influential guitarist of the legendary rock blues band The Sidemen. Tickets are available on the Peters Players website. And next week, the Stocky Center's Bands on the Bay online series, sponsored by the North Star, continues with the amazing Tablelands. Brandon Prevey, the man behind Tablelands, is a songwriter who fuses the core elements of both vintage and contemporary, seemingly without struggle. He needs only one fluent expression of melody or turn of phrase to stir the unsuspecting ear. Catch his show on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Again, all details can be found by going to the Stocky Center website.
That's it for this week, but keep your eyes peeled for next week's incredible shows.
Thanks again, Briar, and that's Cogeco News. Remember to watch us live at 5 Monday to Thursday, and from everyone here at Cogeco News, thanks for watching. Have a good night.